So is AI coming for your job? I mean, you hear it everywhere, right? It's impossible to ignore. The headlines are either promising this amazing utopia where we all have robot assistants or a total dystopia of mass unemployment. But what's the real story? Today, we're going to cut right through all that noise and look at the hard data to see what's actually happening to jobs in the age of AI. Look, it doesn't matter if you're a coder, a creative, or a consultant. Everyone is asking this question. And the answer? Well, it's not a simple yes or no. To really get a handle on the impact of AI, we've got to look at this from three completely different angles: what's already happened, what's going on right now, and what the experts are predicting is just around the corner. You know, the whole story of AI in jobs is really a tale of two extremes. On one side, you have all the hype, all these promises that the world is going to be transformed, like tomorrow. And on the other side, you have the cold, hard data from a major Yale study that found, and I'm quoting here, no discernible effect on the job market since ChatGPT burst onto the scene. That's the central mystery we are going to unravel today. All right, first things first. Before we get into all the forecasts and predictions about what might happen, let's just start with the facts. What does the data actually say about AI's impact on jobs up to this point? Let's put on our detective hats and take a look at the evidence. This quote from the Yale study is so important because it just puts everything in perspective. Big technological shifts, they don't happen overnight. I mean, think about the personal computer. It wasn't like one day nobody had one and the next day every office was transformed. No way. It took years, even decades, for it to become a staple. And the same thing could be true for AI. So how in the world do you measure something as massive and complex as the job market changing? Well, the Yale researchers used this really clever tool called the dissimilarity index. Now, the easiest way to think about it is like a Richter scale for the job market. A really high number means there's a ton of shaking and movement, people changing jobs, industry shifting. A low number means things are pretty stable, pretty quiet. And here's the kicker. When the researchers put that Richter scale on the job market, they found nothing. Seriously, no tremors. Even in the jobs you'd think would be hit first, the ones most exposed to AI, like coding and writing, there has been no significant change in employment. It's like a massive earthquake was predicted, but it just never showed up. But hold on, before we all breathe a huge sigh of relief, it's really important to remember that this is just an early snapshot. It's not the whole movie. The data isn't perfect, it's still very early days, and we're really only seeing a tiny piece of the puzzle. So yeah, the job market might seem calm for now, but that doesn't mean there isn't a storm brewing just over the horizon. Okay, so we've looked at the past and seen a surprisingly calm and stable job market. But what happens when we turn our gaze toward the future? Well, if you ask the economists over at Goldman Sachs, they'll tell you to buckle up because they think there's a storm coming. The big worry on their minds is something called jobless growth. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Imagine a factory replaces all its human workers with robots. Suddenly, that factory is more productive and more profitable than ever, but all those people are out of a job. The economy grows, but jobs don't. That's jobless growth. And this isn't some far-off sci-fi scenario. The warning signs are already flashing. If you look closely at the numbers, and you strip out sectors like healthcare, job growth has already turned negative. Companies are openly talking about using AI to cut costs, and we're seeing young tech workers already starting to feel the squeeze. And you know what? We've seen this movie before. Back after the dot-com bust in the early 2000s, companies used all this new tech to get incredibly efficient. So when the economy bounced back, they just didn't need to hire as many people back. The result? They called it a jobless recovery, and there's a very real fear that we could be headed for a sequel. This quote really gets to the absolute heart of the matter. Is AI going to be like a helpful assistant that makes us better at our jobs? Or is it going to be a flat-out replacement? Because if it's the latter, then we could be in for a really rough ride. So we've got a calm past and a potentially stormy future. But what about right now? What's the ground beneath our feet feel like today? Well, it's already starting to shake, and that could make any coming storm even more dangerous. And forget about the future for just a second. This is happening right now. The private sector just lost 32,000 jobs in a single month. That is a major red flag, and it has nothing to do with AI. It tells us the market is already weak. And even the job growth that we are seeing, it's not what it looks like on the surface. It's like a house with a brand new, shiny roof, but a foundation that's completely crumbling. All the growth is happening in just a couple of sectors and a few states. The rest of the economy, It's either treading water or worse, sinking. I mean, the warning signs are absolutely everywhere. Companies are slamming the brakes on hiring. People are losing faith in their ability to find a new job if they need one. The writing is on the wall. The job market is in trouble, and it seems to be getting worse. So, what does this all mean? We have a calm past, a potentially stormy future, and a really shaky present. How do we make sense of all this conflicting information? Let's put the pieces together and see what the big picture looks like. You know, it's like that old story of the blind men and the elephant. The Yale study is holding onto the tail and thinks it's a rope. Goldman Sachs has the trunk and thinks it's a snake. And Moody's is feeling the leg and thinks it's a tree. And in a way, they're all right, but that also means they're all incomplete. They're just seeing one piece of a much larger, more complicated picture. So the bottom line is this. The story of AI and our jobs is still being written, right now, as we speak. The stability of the last few years is absolutely no guarantee of what's coming next. And a weak job market today is like a forest full of dry tinder, just waiting for a spark. We've seen the calm data, we've heard the thunder of the forecasts, and we can feel the ground shaking right now. So the question we're left with is, are we just in the calm before the AI storm? And if we are, what happens when the storm finally hits?
Thank you for watching Jobs Are Gone with AI in the episode of AI-driven jobless growth by Goldman Sachs and no discernible effect on the broader labor market by Yale. See you in the next episode.